Men going their own way are crashing the economy.
Have 7 million men ages 25 to 54 not working or looking for work. 7 million. You can't build a civilization, a culture, a nation, an economy on men who are not activated and working.
Men going their own way are crashing the economy. Why are 7 million men currently not working? And what are going to be the impacts of this on society over the long term? Watch until the end of the video to find out how 7 million men not working is leading to a decline in society and why we are rapidly heading down a path that we will not be able to come back from. Now let's just go ahead and jump right into the first video.
Crazy research for you. So a third of men, 33%, a little over a third of men between the ages of 18 and 29 are not only single, but they're not actively looking for a partner. The same study said that by the year 2030, that 45% of women between the ages of 20 and 45 will be single. So I've got a question for the men, because I see it all the time in my comments. Most of my comments are filled with guys saying we're done. We're not looking. We like our peace. I need some more talk from you guys. Tell me why you're done.
Young guys are doing with their time and energy. Porn, social media, video games, the beast, the false prophet, and the antichrist. That's what they're doing. Single guys in your 20s, here's what we know. 68% of guys in their 20s today are not dating a woman, not intending to date a woman, have no actual interest in a relationship with a female, and are making no movement toward marriage whatsoever. The last few years, a lot of young men just moved home with their mother. They have no intention of ever moving out until they can find a girlfriend in her 20s or 30s with a good job and low expectations. And then their hope is to move into her house and have her pick up where mom left off. And what these are generational curses and bad patterns that are destroying young men. Destroying young men. And today, producing. What it means is you have far more consumers than producers. And then you have a whole generation of young men that are going to vote to increase the taxes on men who are working to reallocate wealth, which is stealing. And the result is at some point you run out of other people's money. That's why we now have record national debt, and now credit card debt in America has for the first time reached over $1 trillion.
Now, guys, think about this. Women, over the course of their lives, they will leave a deficit on the economy, while a man, over the course of his life, will leave a surplus. But if men stop working, everything changes. Men pay 80% of all taxes in societies, while women pay, and check this out, while women make 80% of all consumer purchases. So men are paying all of the taxes, while women are making virtually all of the purchases. All right? With men walking away, that's less tax revenue from the state. You can hear exactly what this guy said. Now, the majority of these men are not taking anything from the state. They're not living off the state. They are actually living off money that they've earned. The average man can live in a shoebox comfortably at the side of the road. The average man does not necessarily qualify for a lot of the social benefit and welfare programs that women are able to access. These men have worked, they've saved their money, they have investments, and they're living far below their means. Once a man no longer has a woman, a wife or children to worry about, suddenly he has a lot of disposable income. Men often wear the same clothing for years in advance. I had a guy who left a comment on one of my videos where I discussed this phenomenon, and he said to me, listen, I've been wearing the same exact clothes since 2003. All right? He's been wearing the same clothes for over 20 years. And a lot of guys are like that. If it's not broken, why fix it? And this used to be commonplace. You know, some guys are walking around with clothes that have holes in them. Of course, this is not entirely the norm. All right. A lot of guys, if they need to patch something up, they'll just patch it up. But this just kind of illustrates that for a lot of men, they don't need much to survive. PlayStation 5, these are one-time purchases. PlayStation 2, guys, I've been looking into the modding community, and I'm really making I really want to go back to PlayStation 2. Like, there's all kinds of crazy things happening with PlayStation 2 now. You can put an SSD in there, and you can put a 1 terabyte or 512 SSD. Grab that off Amazon for like $20, 20, $31 for a 512 SSD. put like your entire PlayStation 2 collection on there. So that's like 100 games or more than 100 games. Each game is only on average around 1 gigabyte. So you can realistically fit, if you wanted to go that far, up to almost 500 games onto your SSD. Nobody needs that many games, but you can realistically fit like 500 games onto a 512 SSD, and you're good. And you can install up to a 1 terabyte SSD on your PlayStation 2. You could get the because where they used to put the old hard drive, you can now put an SSD in there and play all of your games. You can now even use your PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and PlayStation 5 controllers on a PlayStation 2 using a simple device that you plug into the controller slot, and it works with no lag. A lot of guys are going to go back to playing old school video games. A lot of guys are just going back to Atari. Men don't need much to survive. Men are very, very comfortable living simple lives of luxury and comfort. When you don't have a wife, when you don't have kids, all of that money just starts to sit in the bank. All right. And it starts to gain interest. Guys are putting their money into crypto and they're not pulling it out every second because they're going broke. So that could sit there. That crypto could sit there for years and mature. Bitcoin has gone up and down, up and down. But what about the guys that walked away years ago and they don't have financial problems? When Bitcoin started to crash, they didn't pull their money out. They just let it sit there. And then it went back up and then it crashed again and went back up and then it crashed again. And now it's at like $70,000. I think it went as high as $73,000. And now they have like Bitcoin ETFs and Ethereum ETFs. All right. That allow speculation trading. I mean, guys, it is crazy what's happening right now. Men are living simple lives of luxury and comfort. And as a result of this, women in the state are struggling. America has so much debt right now that it cannot pay back. It's insane. America literally cannot pay back its debt. And it's been running up inflation to reduce the value of the debt to buy time, but it's not going to work. Realistically, it looks like they're going to have to switch over to another currency, like a central bank currency, and then say, okay, well, all right, so we have this other currency, and this currency is separate from the United States dollar. Don't get me wrong, we still support the USD, but we've got the central bank digital currency, and this is backed by some whatever. And so it's kind of like creating a new ocean. And they're going to say, okay, well, everyone's going to start using this now. And, we're going to unveil maybe a UBI, Universal Basic Income, or something like that to force people to use it. I mean, I don't know, guys. It's a crazy thing that's happening right here. But men not working is only making things so much worse because men pay 80% of all taxes. Women make 80% of all consumer purchases. If the men aren't paying the taxes, there's no money. There's absolutely no money. And what ends up happening is if there's no money, then you're just printing money out of thin air. And that just leads to even more inflation. But eventually, everything is going to go pop and kabooey.
Taken for granted.
But there's more. According to one economist, some non-working men face a skills mismatch. A third have criminal records, making them ineligible for many jobs and making employers hesitant to hire them. And many rely on safety nets, such as disability. So you may wonder, what are these guys doing instead of work? Well, kind of what you might expect. Spending nearly 7 hours each weekday on average relaxing, playing games, and watching TV.
So how is it, from where you're sitting, from your understanding, that people can do nothing all day and still have enough money for a bag of chips?
Oh, well, it's almost as though some entity is paying them. It's almost as if somebody is not letting them fail. It's as if some giant parent somewhere has...
An uncle, maybe?
Could be a rich uncle, yes. Could be a very wealthy uncle.
Now, guys, to be clear, they're like, oh, so men are living off the government. That's why. Some guys are on disability, but most men are not on disability. Most men simply don't need a lot to survive. And they basically they live below their means. And again, a lot of these guys are living simple lives of luxury. They go buy old luxury cars. That's what a lot of the rich guys are doing. And they chill. You don't need to be rich or poor to do this. You just have to be self-conscious. A lot of guys are also looking poor. So men who have money, the more money these guys have, the more poor they are. Guys, like I'm telling you right now, the wealthier I become, the more I'm going to walk around like I'm broke. Like, not so much that I look like I smell bad, or like, people are going to like, oh, this guy looks like, he looks like a transient. but just so enough that I don't draw attention to myself. No one wants to talk to me. No girl thinks I have any money. That's it. No, and basically I drive like a nice old luxury car that doesn't draw any attention, but it's really comfortable, heated seatings, anti-lock brakes, the works, new tires. And I'm just basically chilling, a nice older SUV comfortable clothing, and just relaxing, enjoying my life. And the thing is, a marriage is a business arrangement. So and a lot of men don't understand this. You shouldn't be getting married if you're not into a relationship with someone that is on your on your timetable, on your reality. Like, they basically see what your purpose is, and they want to help you to build your business, build your brand, and accomplish your purpose. So if you're not that, that's what marriages historically were. They were historically between very wealthy people, wealthy families, right? So that's the purpose of marriage. It's an organization, it's an institution. And as more and more men are waking up, they're realizing that, I'm not just going to marry someone out of desire. I'm going to marry if this is going to be a person that helps me to build my brand, helps me to, to enhance what I'm already doing. And when men are told today, like, don't expect anything from a relationship, don't expect anything from your significant other. You should be giving more than you receive. And they don't bring it. You don't expect them to bring anything to the table. They are the table. So dudes are like, okay, well, if you're the table, then it's an empty table, and I'm not going to sit there. I'm going to focus on myself. I'm the prize. I don't need to argue with anyone, and that's it. Why are men going their own way and the economy is crashing as a result? Because societies need men. Societies need men, and without men, a society without its men is not a society. A country without its men is not a country. A country without its men is a wasteland. And what we're going to ultimately end up seeing is inflation going higher, a society that cannot protect itself, a society that cannot provide for itself. And within 100 years of men walking away from the Roman Empire, their society could no longer provide for itself, and it was taken, and it was being protected by mercenaries or barbarians. And when the emperor tried to pay the barbarians using land, they realized that they didn't have manpower to protect themselves or even resources, and they were basically living off the labor of indentured servants. So they pillaged the empire, and we were plunged into 1,000 years of darkness. And all of that started with no-fault divorce. It all started with men saying, hey, we're done with this, and we're walking away from this society. We're walking away from this reality. We're not going to put up with it anymore. And when men walk away, societies, nations collapse. And that's what we're going to witness. This is why the economy is crashing. This is why we're going further downhill. Men are staying home. Men are building home gyms because men are being pushed out of society. They've taken their ball and they're going home. If they want a relationship, they'll go overseas and find someone who is fit, feminine, and friendly and will treat them well. And that's the truth. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, consider checking out our newsletter. Subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description of the video to get your free copy of the blueprint and subscribe to the newsletter. The reason why this is all happening, the answer to this entire video, why men going their own way are crashing the economy, is because a society without its men is not a society. A society without its men is a wasteland. A man that does not have love for family or love for country doesn't have a dog in the fight, and he will fight for nothing. Let me know what you guys think regarding this in the comments, and we'll talk about it there. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, men walking away. And cheers.